Hello, everybody out there. I can't see you, but I know you're there. Welcome to the RISMedia webinar broker series. And we have a great session today. It is titled, you're in the right place if you're here to learn about scaling your business. It's called Scale, Stand Out, Expand, How to Use Technology to Accelerate Your Business Growth. We have an incredible panel. We've had some pre-discussions. In fact, we were like, maybe we should have recorded that because it was so good. So we're going to recreate some of that for you today. Before we do, we've got a little housekeeping we got to do. If I can get my slides to move forward, that would be good. There we go. I'm Brian Wildermuth, and I'm your host. I'm the moderator. I'm not Vanna White, but I am going to try to bring out the best in our crew. Our goal today with this webinar is to help you take away one thing, maybe something new you can deploy right away, maybe something you need to pivot on, maybe something that you're going to add to the overall business. That's our focus for today. Just real quick, I've spent a lifetime in this business. I won't tell you how long, but I'm happy to be here on behalf of RISMedia. So those housekeeping things, look, if you're having trouble seeing, I guess if you're having trouble hearing, you won't be able to hear me. Go ahead and pop a little question in the chat, and the RIS team will respond accordingly. So we're going to encourage you to stay through this whole webinar because we have some really deep content to help you with your businesses. Now, I know some of you are from smaller brokerages, and some are probably from some larger companies. We'd love it if you'd pop it in the chat to say hello where you're from, so we can see who all's here and where they're coming from, so we can say hello. All right, so let's get started. Without the help of a sponsor, we can't bring these events forward. And we're fortunate enough today to have a great one. We have from Broker Mint, it is their general manager and co-founder, Andrew Chestovoy. And we're excited to have him. Andrew, you want to come on and say a few words about Broker Mint?
Absolutely, and thanks for inviting to this exciting webinar. We're happy to, again, to sponsor it. At the same time, wanted to share a little bit more about myself and about Broker Mint. Been in real estate business for over 20 years, all my life, technology, and definitely, Broker Mint is a fantastic, next project that, we started after some additional, technological things that we were doing. In terms of the Broker Mint itself, I would say that, again, we support businesses. We help them scale and grow. That's, again, the main topic of this webinar, what we're going to be discussing today. So I'll definitely, chime in with some additional details on how we do it. But the most important is for us to discuss today how we can, again, educate and better set up smaller companies to scale and grow faster, as well as how we can help bigger companies to, again, I believe, stabilize their business in times of uncertainty, and of course, think about next stage of growth.
Hey, Andrew, I didn't slide your slide over there. Can you talk about, just quickly brush over some of these things that you guys handle on the right-hand side there?
Absolutely, yes. In terms of, again, the Broker Mint itself, we've been around for 7 years or so. It's a cloud-based back office. So we do a lot of things. Again, I don't want to go into all the details because it's going to be too many minutes, but in a nutshell, what we do, we handle the process from contract to close. So anything that you can think about, what you see here on the right-hand side, from transaction management to commissions to accounting to agent management, by the way, is a hot topic, as well as everyone needs reports and analytics. So that's also definitely one of the top items within the back office system that we have. We offer it to small, medium, and enterprise clients, companies that have from 3-4 agents up to thousands, 3-4, 5,000 agents. And again, the most important, if we were to step away from Broker Mint for a second, is ability to have the technological foundation to ultimately scale your business and work on your business versus working in the business. So again, being able to think about how do I get more leads, how do I scale quicker, hire phenomenal agents. So all that is possible when you have a good solid foundation in place and that's what we've been doing for 7 years now, and have around 1,600 brokerages using the platform across all 50 states.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. And again, thank you for your sponsorship today. Let's get this party started today, or I guess more professionally, let's get this discussion started. And that's the idea today. I'm not going to necessarily go down the line and ask everybody to answer the same question. I want to have a discussion. We've got some great panelists here with us today. I want to introduce you to them. First, we have Dennis Sestra Jr. And Dennis has a great story he'll tell you, I'm sure, throughout here. He comes from a family-run business. He was born into the business, and he's the president of the Pennsylvania region of Howard Hanna. Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you, Brian. Great to be here, and great to be with Aaron and Andrew. All C's in our last name there, but you call us the C list. But yeah, so it is fantastic to be here. I'm part of a family-owned and operated company. My grandparents started it in 1957 here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I myself just moved back from Virginia Beach, Virginia, where I was helping lead that market. And we're in our third generation right now. We have grown a lot. So we are in about 13 different states, and we have grown immensely, but we're still Main Street, not Wall Street, #1 independent brokerage, and still, like I said before, still a family-owned company, but growing. And really, that's one of our main goals, is to continue to grow organically in the markets that we're in, as well as partnering with other companies. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit today, how we've scaled that and looking to scale forward.
Yeah, excellent. Welcome. Great to have you here. Thank you. And our next panelist is Erin Cestero. And Erin is the president. She comes to us from Texas, from San Antonio, the San Antonio division. Look at, we have 2 independent firms that have regional presidents. That means that's pretty awesome. That means they're good size. So with JB Goodwin Realtors, a fabulous company there in Texas. Erin, welcome.
Hi everybody. Yes, we are in San Antonio. I'm the president of our San Antonio division, and we are also in our Austin market. So Austin, Texas, about an hour and a half away, and scale everything in between. So we are celebrating our 50th anniversary at JB Goodwin Realtors. Our San Antonio division opened in 2010. We just hit our 12-year mark, and we are 400 agents strong in San Antonio, another almost 600 in Austin. So scaling and quick growth is a hot topic for us, and we're glad to be here.
That's excellent. That's excellent. We're glad to have you. And then because we need a technologist, we've asked Andrew to join us on the panel as well. So we're blessed and welcome to have him, because he can take off his brokerment hat and he can share with us kind of more from a tactical standpoint of what businesses are doing to scale, to grow, to stand out. So welcome all of you. I'm going to hit you with the first question. Dennis, we're going to go back to you because you kind of started this out a little bit. You've already told us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit more about the goals of Howard Hanna and the key areas of focus over the next few years. We can't go out 5 years anymore. It used to be like 5-year plan, 10-year plan.
Yeah,
we're moving too fast now. So share a little bit about that for us.
Yeah, so really, like 3 of our main goals to accomplish over the next, I would say, 1 to 3 years. At least our targets are. The first one would be, and one thing that we're working really hard on, this year, and technology is definitely a piece of that. A piece that we believe will help us is our per agent productivity. We have, like, across our family of companies, our per agent productivity is about 12.5 units per agent, which is good when you look really good when you look nationally. But we want to be, of course, #1, and we want to increase that. And we think that one way we can do that is our marketing platforms, and how we'll drill down a little bit later on, but like how we leverage the big data and the data that we already have to help empower our agents. And help improve our stakeholder equity with our sales associates and everyone else. Another one of our goals is, of course, expansion. We're in right now about 7 NFL or NFL like caliber cities, cities large enough to have an NFL team. I'm from Western Pennsylvania, so all my life, even in the real estate business, it's always been about football, whether you're coaching, the offensive coordinator, what role you play. So I always draw to that analogy. But we want to be in, right now we're in 7, we'd like to be in 10 NFL sized cities in the next 3 years. And then the last one is, you might hear a lot from other brokerages, upstart brokerages, about aftermarket services, which really what they mean is mortgage, title, and insurance. And since the 80s, we've been a fully integrated company. And if you look at our background in technology, a lot of that has come from our mortgage, title, and insurance. Our mortgage company was probably one of the first companies to have that back of the house, back of the office because of the underwriting systems, to have really that larger scale technology. And so those are real. And so our goal there from our integrated companies is to increase capture to where across the board we have about 25%. We have in some markets we have more than that. Some markets we have less than that. Some companies we're integrating into our mortgage, title, and insurance, our one-stop shopping. So we're looking for across the board to have an average within our family of companies about 25%, and all of that, those three goals, whether it's expanding, increasing our agent productivity, and then increasing our capture rates and our usage of our integrated services. That's all going to involve, how we embrace technology and how we leverage it.
It's fantastic. I love it. Especially that last one. I come from the title industry years back. If you get agents to do 20, if you get 25% of agents to do something, that's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
Most people would want more, but I'm sure you're higher on some of those services than others. We'll look forward to kind of digging down on that, Dennis. But those are some great goals. Look, we can't start talking about tech and process until you know where the heck you're going, so that you can deploy the technology you need to make those things happen, and also to lay the foundation for scale in those areas. All of those goals are scale, which is pretty great. So let's go over to Aaron on this one. Aaron, you've got some great things happening. You shared with me kind of pre-call about some things with your agent recruiting. Share with the group a little bit about your business goals over the next 1 to 3 years.
Absolutely. So obviously we share many similar goals with Dennis's team, but we're actually looking more at local expansion. So increasing our footprint in our own market. So San Antonio, Austin, and surrounding areas, we intend to stay in this area, but continuing to recruit. And obviously we're in very fast growing markets. We have 67 people moving to San Antonio every single day, and 150 or so moving to Austin. So our markets are just increasing, and we want to continue to recruit good quality agents in our market, and then of course help them with increasing their production. So big focus, just as Dennis described, on increasing those levels. We actually measure our agents in number of units, and we look at different strategies for our folks. We're doing 1 to 3 units every day or every year, 3 to 6, 6 to 12, and then upwards. So we actually evaluate those in different categories for planning for growth. But for us, we do a great deal of recruiting to brand new agents. So between San Antonio and our Austin offices, we recruited 365 agents last year. Wow. I think we've all experienced some change and a big flux of folks getting into real estate in the last couple of years because of other industries seeing a shift, and real estate being on the news every single day as the place to be. So we've been really working hard from a screening standpoint to make sure we're getting those folks that are a good fit for our team, to improving our onboarding system so we can handle large volume and make sure that that never causes a pain point for those agents joining us. It feels seamless and not that they are one of 365 in that year. And then being able to communicate between our departments, from recruiting to making sure our management team is aware of these folks and can pick up the ball once they're on board and help these individuals be producing agents.
Sure. I think we could have whole other topic for another day. Maybe we could talk about it offline. I see that focus on recruiting. I see that that battle being really, more challenging today than it's ever been, with the different disruptors, with the different business models trying to steal agents. And I would hope and think that you've got some lean or slant or focus on retention as well, because you don't want to spend all this time bringing them in and have them leave out the back door. So that could be a whole other topic.
Absolutely.
Andrew, I'd love to step over to you. You've already shared with us about your business. What I'd like, with your consulting hat on, what are you seeing? Because these are two very large firms and independents. You work with brand firms. You work with companies as small as 5 to 10 agents. What are you seeing their key focus on in terms of their goals for the coming year? Are you on mute, Andrew?
Oh, I apologize for that. In terms of the goals for coming year, I believe that, especially for smaller companies, what we typically experience, because again, not only we provide technology, but we also educate and consult a lot of brokers that come to us, as well as at the end of the day, we also have pretty decent, access to all the information, what they think, what they want, what the current situation is. Especially, again, with the 2019-2020 in terms of overall trends, I would say that the main goal for many, many companies is, first of all, to retain the business. So that's where, again, thinking about how do I keep what I had in place, make sure that that's all rock solid, I don't lose my agents, I have really strong foundation, I need to reshape a lot of things, obviously, including technology, and at the same time, how can I start scaling, again, get back on track with my 2020 plan, 2021 plan in terms of the next step and the overall growth. So that's what we typically see. In terms of smaller companies, because we know that 80% of the market, these are brokerages that have, 3, 4, 5 agents within the United States. And again, when they come to us and we start having different conversations around what their current situation is, what needs they currently have, it's a lot of uncertainty. They don't know typically where to start. They don't know what they need to think about. Obviously, they talk to a lot of friends and colleagues within the industry and got some recommendations, but typically, again, it's more like, a first step in the process would be to understand what options are and ultimately make some decisions there. So that's where a consultative approach is really important. And obviously, again, doing research is really important. So not jumping the gun, not just, taking whatever first available and going with it, and really thinking how technology going to help your business to get where you want to be in terms of your numbers, in terms of how many agents, because based on your goals, there are different options how you can, again, set things up.
That's great. I said I wasn't going to tell you how long I've been in the business, but it is relevant. I'm going on my 37th year in the business. I've seen a lot. And what I love is that I've seen a maturation of brokerages and our focus on tech. I mean, years back when everybody started building their own, and then that became either cost prohibitive, or when they realized that expanding, I feel like Mike Pence, I had a fly flying in front of my face. But I think we've seen a maturation, and now I think there is, Andrew, that closer look in the research. I don't know that the agents have moved out of shiny object syndrome yet, though. So moving forward, next topic is going to get us down into the guts of this webinar. That is, what tech is helping drive your business today. And I want to look at in terms of 3 areas. In terms of your overall business, so business infrastructure, productivity, processes, those types of things. And then, of course, we always have to look at our internal consumer, the agent. What tools are you seeing that are helping them stand out, helping them scale, and helping them expand and grow? And then lastly, the consumer. What are you doing, Dennis? I think you said this on the call the other day, to help them buy their next home. So let's go over to Aaron. Aaron, we had some interesting discussion around this. Let's start with that overall business. Talk to me about the key processes, infrastructure, and things that you're doing, and how you're putting it together.
Absolutely. I will say we've had keyword automation. So we've really focused on where we used to have tech that was coming in for our CRM standpoint, from accounting, bringing all of our systems together so that they communicate together, makes it a lot easier for our agents to be successful in adopting those tools, but also more productive. They're spending less time on the tech, and we're automating that, and they're spending more time on clients. And as much as we automate this industry, it's still a handshake in business where we have to get in front of people and develop relationships. So we're really focusing on our systems all communicating together when it comes to seamless transaction management, driving into accounting. So when our agents are getting paid, that process is really smooth. Looking out for the challenges that happen in a transaction, so that transaction management system that measures what the next step is, so they're not missing that, and obviously maintaining that wonderful relationship and that 5-star review they want from their clients in the end, and future business that comes from it. So that's been our key focus. I think we had a lot of great systems in place 5 years ago, and over the last 5 years, we've really made sure that those systems all communicate together so our agents aren't pulling from one to feed another. Big focus for us.
That's no easy task when you're pulling in different technology partners. How have you been able to manage that, those integrations? Has that been a long process?
It's taken us a couple of years, and we worked slow to make sure that we weren't constantly trying to educate our agents. And we're seeing so many of the leaders in the industry where we used to have one company that was just handling CRMs and another was doing this. We're seeing they're forming those partnerships because they realize that's a need on our end. And just speaking to Andrew, it's not just we need a really great accounting system anymore because everything else is on paper. All those systems have to work together for retention even. It's not just about our client satisfaction, it's about our agents feeling that we're an easy place to work, that our systems are easy to use. And we fight so hard to recruit them up front. If we don't make a system feel easier for them in the end, there's too much noise in the industry for them to look for other options.
No, that's true. It's very true. So Andrew, we talked a little bit about some of that. I'd love your perspective, what Aaron just shared on the automation piece, because that word has been thrown around pretty flippantly for the last, I don't know, 5-10 years. But I think, like I said, we've started to mature and understand where that applies. Talk to me about, when you're consulting with a firm, how you approach kind of the business processes that are attached, and which products and services from a category level are you mostly helping with?
Sure, absolutely. And Aaron, by the way, I have a question for you, but let me answer this first. So in terms of the how we approach this, again, it's primarily consultative conversation. Again, let's refer back to typical audience, 3, 4, 5 agents, smaller brokerages. Typically, they don't know what they expect, what the next stage of growth they need to go through. Obviously, they'll get there and go through it, but ideally, if you were to educate them, give them a heads up what they're going to be facing, at what point in time they need to start thinking about CRM, at what point in time they start thinking about how do I automate my back office, how do I get more capacity in terms of I have one admin, I want to handle more deals with one admin, how do I start hiring more admins, and at what point in time. So again, we have all these milestones available so we can educate you on, okay, when you have this many deals, think about one more admin. When you have this, start thinking about, again, commission automation or back office things. So that's where, again, we educate them on it. In terms of, again, looking at the overall picture, what we found ourselves after a few years of consulting that, again, it's really important to think about your technology stack in terms of roles within your organization. So you have obviously agents, you have admin, from listing coordinators to closing coordinators, different terminology obviously from state to state, but you have your admin team. And ideally, if you were to unify your technology around your roles, so if you have agents, you have agent technology. If you have back office, you have back office technology. And ideally, if you can find tools that for agents, for example, can satisfy all their needs in terms of what they need to do, to staff and back office, again, ideally unify it where you don't have a single point tool. So I have my e-signature here, and I have my documents there, and my accounting, is somewhere else, and commissions probably in a spreadsheet. So that's where inefficiencies kick in, and that's where you start really thinking about, again, how do I retain my agents because of that inconsistency that I have. So again, forming a technology stack around roles within your company, that's, I guess, the best high-level recommendation I can give. And obviously, again, doing your due diligence and ideally consolidating tools around your roles is a hard task, but believe me, as you go through it, you're gonna definitely see that next level scale that you can, achieve with unifying your technology.
That's pretty awesome. You said you had a question for Aaron?
Absolutely, and you mentioned that you have different tools and you cross-integrated them. And I'm just curious to hear, have you cross-integrated them using your own resources, or was that offered to you by the companies where you purchased technology from?
Great question. It was offered to us. I guess I should say we started early with saying, hey, it'd be really great if this happened. And we've been working with those companies to cross integrate.
So to go off what Aaron, Andrew's question, what Aaron answered too, like one thing, whenever we're looking at bringing, whether it's a different platform or tool into our larger enterprise system, it always has to have open architecture so we can connect, if we're talking about overall business, so like our brokerage accounting software, so that can run into, whether it's tracking an agent's production, because, they might want to see where they are, they have certain goals, where it's going into their CRM and it's updating live, or with our transaction management software, that's also updating, so it's through the process. So if they're in their CRM, they're continuing to market. So using, I think that, like what Aaron was talking about, like the crossover, using that open architecture and making sure that's a requirement. So one piece feeds into another. It has been like really important. I don't know how we would have done it without that.
No, it's refreshing to hear, because again, looking back, this has been one of our most biggest roadblocks in our industry is the sharing of data across different applications and the duplication of data entry. And then eventually, if the agent's involved, they just give up and they just walk away from it. I'm going to go sell another house, which is probably a good thing. So Dennis, let's expand on that, because you've been doing a lot at Howard Hanna around data, and that's a key component, I believe, of your infrastructure to support the goals that you're going after.
Yeah, so like I view all of these, whether it's the overall business, I view that kind of as like our back end, our what's feeding our agent and our consumer systems. But when we talk about like data, we have so much data as brokers, whether it's a independent operator, sole proprietor, or it's a larger multi-office, multi-state brokerage. We have so much information, so much data from the consumer. I mean, that like other businesses, some might have, but a lot don't. We know what their preferences are. We know what their price ranges are. Depending if we did the mortgage, we might even know some of their financial information. We know when they bought the house, who they bought it with. Generally, we know whether it's multiple people that are buying the house, who they're bringing with them, what stage of life they're in. So what we're looking at doing, really leveraging artificial intelligence and different, for lack of a better term, tools, and I hate to use that word, but tools that we've brought on to pinpoint certain benchmarks along a consumer's kind of timeline of a home buying and home selling experience, and really overall living experience, to what are those key benchmarks on when somebody is going to be either in the market for a home or going to be looking to sell their home. So we never want, especially right now, I have an uncle who's an architect, so I hope he's not listening and hears this, but we never want anybody to call the architect, right? To come in and do a renovation. But so what we're trying to do is use predictive analytics, artificial intelligence, so that we can help our agents grow their business, so that they can take a seller and make that market. We have so much human intelligence within this realtor community of what somebody's preferences are, who sold, when somebody bought a home, and what we're really good at is matching that potential home seller up with a home buyer before it even it's going to go on the market. I'm not talking about anything like that, but saying, hey, you want to buy a house with whatever it is, you just got a promotion. We see that trigger, and then we can say, hey, here's a great house for you, agent. You should call XYZ because they just had a life event or whatever it is. So that's what we're really looking to do. That's kind of like the end goal. And I go back to that productivity goal and retention piece that Aaron and Andrew both talked about. Like that, we think that's a game changer going forward.
No, and that's again, I'm sitting here smiling. Years back, I helped build a marketing software program, and we would say, look, you need to figure out the data to support not just randomly marketing out to people, but to be able to hit them with the right message at the right time in the right way, depending on the stage of life or the stage of where they're at in the home ownership process. So it's fabulous to hear all that connectivity. Let's speaking of the agent, let's move on and talk to the agent, or talk about the tools that we have or that you're utilizing and putting in place and structuring for scale to either help the brokerage or the agent build the business. Let's go. Who wants to go first?
I'll jump on that.
All right.
The broken record, the CRM, but I feel like we need to talk about it. And when we were looking at CRMs and trying to figure out what to implement for our agents, there's a balance. We want our AI, what Dennis was describing, helping our agents with quality of life, knowing where to spend their time and efforts, because balance is a challenge in real estate. But we also all read that scary NAR report every year that says, almost 90% of our clients would use us again when they first buy a home, but short of 30% actually do use their agent. So we wanted a balance of a CRM that helped us with new business development as well as retaining those relationships with our past clients, and not just the automated messages, the drip campaigns, but the reminders for our agents to pick up the phone and call, the quality touches, actually relationship building built into CRM. So that's been a key focus for us. And when we were figuring out, Andrew spoke to scaling a business from our staff and what we needed. And when we were looking at investing in the CRM, it was interesting. Once we automated some of our systems to communicate together, we needed a few fewer people in accounting because we could manage it better and more effectively. But we diverted those folks into different employees, but just diverted our staff into actually setting up our CRMs for our agents. I made a really big mistake when we rolled out our CRM. I said, look at this fancy new tool and the 52 things it does. And my agents were completely overwhelmed and ran for the hills. So now when an agent, yeah, I was gonna say, it's not just me, right? I'm not putting out my, so then we had to reevaluate and say, how do we set this up as a part of our culture from day one? Our onboarding team can get that integrated so they start seeing success from it from day one, and then they're excited about this tool versus terrified. So CRM, I know I'm a broken record, but an important tool for driving business.
No, it's huge. I mean, it's been a topic of discussion since the first computers and laptops hit the screen. My first was ACT. I don't know about you guys, but you may not be old enough for that. And
that's a good one.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, Aaron, I'd be curious. It's hard to make that conversion to get independent contractors to buy into the main tool they need the most because they're so picky about which one they want. What would you say is your adoption rate now that you've got things integrated and you're automating and you're doing some of it for them?
78% of our agents are at least utilizing the basic elements. Now it's taken time. It's taken us 4.5 years to get there. But from day one, literally our first appointment with our agents for their onboarding is we take over their computer, set everything up, kept their newsletter and the basics of the CRM functioning. So they're starting to touch the folks they happen to have in their database already so that they start seeing communications coming back and see success from it. They feel like a realtor. I always kind of tease when they come running into our offices saying, oh my God, it worked. Somebody reached out to me and they want to buy a house. But that's what it's supposed to do. That's great. Now let's take step 2. So I would say we kind of forced it on them in a good way, but we've seen results from it.
That's excellent. So Andrew or Dennis, anything to add in the area of agent tools that are there for scale growth? And yeah.
So from the CRM side, we could talk all day about that and how we really can utilize that. And I believe that at least with us, and it sounds like for Aaron too, if you look at what our marketing stack is, most of our marketing now is generally really coming out of our CRM. And it is, a lot of it is that directly targeted. Some of it's more of your broader prospecting or farming. But a lot of what we do, just from a individual view count, a lot of that is coming from our CRM. And we pay for the CRM, and we invested in that actually as an equity investor with MoxieWorks. But we, from the same time, we spend a lot of money on SEO and SEM. And we're still getting a lot of our clicks coming out of what we're doing from a marketing side on a CRM. But I've been there right where Aaron has been, rolling something out, and after a while you're excited for it. You've seen this, you've vetted a lot of different products, and then faces go blank. It is a lot. But so I sort of look at it from really the end result on what we're actually doing with the leads that we're generating from that client relation manager, and whether it's just somebody's just using e-cards or they're just using the notes section to keep on top of birthdays. really, what are we doing now? How are we converting, and how can we help our agents convert from what they're generating from those CRMs? Because when I look at, we have a fairly high number, a little right around where Aaron is on users of our technology platform, our marketing platform, I should say. But then active users, it goes down a little bit. So really, I like to look at what are we doing? How are we converting those leads that we're getting from those different marketing tools? And sort of, that is the new e-commerce, right? Relocation business has changed. IDX has changed the game when it comes to, being a lead-driven business. So looking at it from a holistic side of it, this is our new e-commerce, okay, for where we are today. How are we helping agents in different quartiles or different stages of their business convert that? And coming from it to the side of, at Howard Hanna Company, for the most part, if you have a lead, if you have a listing and you get a lead from that on your listing, you get it back there. But what we're seeing is some of those leads are just sitting there. And real estate's so retail right now that if we're not answering quickly, then that consumer is moving on to that next site. So, or that next home, whatever it is. So for, I know we're going to talk about the consumer a little bit, but to tie in the consumer and how we're trying to benefit the consumer and build agents' businesses is working and coaching our agents on whether it is they're going to continue, how to best follow up with that lead, or if they don't want that piece of business, if that's not for them and how they want to build their business or grow their business, then we have enough agents, we have a strong enough platform through that open architecture where they can refer that out and create another income stream. So that lead just doesn't have to sit there and go to die and maybe get followed up with next week or never, so that we really can provide best customer service to not just our consumers, but our sales associates as well.
That's fantastic, and I think the thing that's been challenging for the brokerage business over a long stretch of time, becoming even more challenging now when you have new models trying to disrupt the industry, is the broker trying to show their full value through the tech that they provide. So it used to be like, hey, we have this tech stack, and you got a CRM, you got a marketing platform, check. We have lead gen tools, check. And it really has starting to shift towards actual results. And so your percentage of adoption is amazing, but if there's people on the call and you're not at that level, I mean, like I said earlier, it doesn't sound great, but anything over 25% is pretty strong, because if the other agents aren't using your tools and they're still successful, you can show them, hey, you might be able to be more successful coming into our environment. You certainly want to dissuade them from what they're doing if it's working.
As an overall value proposition too, Aaron brought up a good point of how we're repositioning our support people too. And that's one thing that we've looked at really, starting pre-pandemic, but I would say the pandemic definitely helped it. But like a lot of maybe, what somebody was working on before, we don't need that anymore, or that, that job could be combined. So we've repositioned a lot of really smart, talented individuals to be able to help our agents better convert those leads that they're generating from our different marketing platforms. And I think that I know other brokerages have been doing that, and I think it's really important right now.
No, it's excellent. We'll dovetail onto that in a little bit here. We've got some stuff centered around the adoption piece. So who'd jump in and share about the consumer? We're really, obviously, you got your business structure in place, your systems, your process, the tech infrastructure, you got tools to help empower the agent and the brokerage to generate more opportunities. How are you utilizing this approach on the consumer?
I'd say a basic core element from a business standpoint is our tools that are making our agents more effective, so they're not missing any steps in the process, and the system's helping them think ahead, makes just for a better transaction. So I know that's a simple point, but happy customers means more business. So I think just making our agents more efficient, they're happy, they're not as run down, they're better managing their time, they're that much more ready available to provide exceptional service to our consumer. It also helps us put really great information in front of the consumer. There's a lot of noise in the industry with iBuyers and all these different products that are coming out, and the more we can control the message from people who have our clients or consumers' best interest at heart, our CRM helps us disseminate that information and good information to our consumers. And it's happier clients, happier agents.
I think that's excellent. Andrew or Dennis, anything on that consumer piece from the tech perspective?
I'll let Dennis start.
Okay, so Aaron and I are kind of like simpatico on a lot of these things, but I would say that education is definitely important. We talked about, like I talked about a little bit ago, customer service, not just from a lead follow-up side, but like, are we making sure in today's day and age that like we're providing the right information, the right access to, whether that is like, you know, we have information, it's not as much technology, but we have information or access to, like, through our integrated services for bridge loan products. So people can get into that dream home as soon as it comes on the market. You know, they don't have to, different products are different, but they can get into that house without selling their previous house. And then I would say, like, overall education, you know, maybe a consumer, a potential seller you know, knows that the market is strong, but truly doesn't know how strong it is. So like, we have leveraged really a seller's tool to be able to show them what the demand is for their home, not just what the number, you know, not just what the price is, but show them truly what the demand is for that product. If you go on, like, I was on Nordstrom last night and I was looking at a jacket, and it showed how many people were looking for that jacket, right? It was like 12 people. I was like, I better buy this jacket before it's sold out. So that's we have something similar to that. So from just not a buyer side, but from a seller side, they can see that demand. And you know, one thing that we always talk about is, like, you know, what do we overall do is you know, help make that American dream of home ownership come true. And I still think that is like one of the overall American dreams. And right now, a lot of consumers might not know really how much they truly can get for their house and how that could change their lives. So that's something that, like, we look about, and I think, you know, I think about, and our leaders think about every day, and our sales associates in our organization really is, and that's only, a lot of that is through technology and through that program that we can really tap into that and educate the consumers, both buyers and sellers.
So see, here's what's so great. Our industry, historically, we are so myopic, and we've got little blinders on, and that's why we've been so slow to change comparatively to other industries. It's refreshing. I know, Dennis, you have a master's in finance, and I know, Aaron, you've been off in other industries, and I think that brings so much more value to our industry when we start looking outside. So you're looking at retail, and you're applying it to what you called earlier, our market. The real estate market's very retail right now, so that's excellent. Andrew, do you have something to add here, or would you like to dive into the deeper topic of the actual transformation and growth?
Definitely have a couple of thoughts to share. First of all,
Sure.
Aaron, 78%, that's phenomenal. That's really, you know, non-typical, and I think that's, you know, a great job on, again, adopting the software that you currently have in place. I think that overall, again, as we work with a lot of companies, and what we see, we have core items here: business, agent, consumer, right? So what we see that overall, over the course of the last couple of years, there's been a lot of a shift from consumer to agent. Again, protecting your business, making sure that you have that foundation, strong foundation, paired with technology. So definitely, again, from onboarding to ultimately successful retention of agents, these are kind of like twofold problems that you have to face. So having that technology in place is important. Hiring agents quickly, hiring right agents, that's also important. So these are all the things that, by the way, you know, at Brokerment, we do really good in terms of helping with automation of those processes. At the same time, again, consumer, that's where the money come from, right? They buy a home, they sell a home. We cannot ignore it. That's at the end of the day, that's the core of the business. So even extending your back office processes to be able to provide visibility into transactions, visibility into, again, all the documents, all the paperwork. I do remember my first experience when I purchased a home and my agent didn't provide me anything. They just gave me like, this is a printout, this is what's going to happen next. Talk to you in 2 weeks. I was in a great panic there. So I never thought it's going to be that way. So again, providing that visibility, not only from hello, this is what I do, this is the home that you can purchase, and ultimately the process of purchasing a home, again, providing that visibility is also super important. So that's quick touch on the overall business, again, caring about your agents, but providing visibility to consumers even post when you go under contract is also a crucial part of any business to start seeing that repetitive business, making sure that they have best possible experience, not only from, again, initial interaction, but also throughout all the touch points within that process.
Sure. You know, one of the things we look at the consumer and focus on the consumer. I don't know that hopefully your CRMs or your agents are collecting this. This is a kind of an old coaching thing that I used to provide, but somewhere storing and then behaving, you know, actually putting into practice, knowing the best way to connect to a customer. So we're talking about data, and we have so many different ways to connect now. You know, my kids will only talk to me, and they're not kids anymore, they're all over 18, but they won't only talk to me on Snapchat. So I text them, it takes way longer for them to get back. So hopefully when we look at putting the consumer first, we're using the communication channels that the consumer wants, and we're recording that data so that we're more effective in serving them. So let's move in. Last couple questions we want to cover today, but really important ones. If I'm listening to this as a broker, I would be curious. It's like free consulting. Isn't this awesome? I would like to know, look, do I start with the process or do I start with the tech? I mean, it's a chicken or the egg, right? I think a lot of companies don't have full we know agents don't. We still have agents that are a hot mess and they sell a lot of real estate, right? I think we have some brokerages like that. So who wants to jump on this one? Help us kind of, what's your approach to this, process or tech?
Andrew, you want to do this?
I can definitely go with this because we talked to a lot of brokerages about processes and technology, obviously, right? So I would say that usually the first step is processes, because typically you start, you know, you want to start your business, you want to stay low in terms of purchasing software, purchasing tools. You want to have that first experience. You want to know who you want to target, where my leads come from, how do I convert my leads? Yay, I closed my first deal. That's fantastic. Some, you know, some money for candies for kids. So that's all exciting, but typically processes, especially for when you started or about to start, that's first. You need to start, you need to get the ball rolling, you need to, again, to hire your first agent, ultimately close a couple of deals. Then you start thinking about how do I automate my business, because again, it's obvious that, you know, you cannot do things manually. You have to bring in technology, you need to start scaling it. That's, again, typically more like, you know, natural progression, how things work. But we also see that, again, there are certain milestones as you scale your business, how you need to think about what you do. And typical milestones are 5, 15, and 50 in terms of agents. And process is going to be different, depends on where you're at. Are you just starting and you have 5? Or are you 15? Or are you 50 or plus? Again, from the admin team that has to support, as well as 5, 15, and 50 also help you to think about what technology tools you may want to introduce. You can survive, you know, 5 agents without pretty much no technology. When you have 15, that's a different game, so to speak. When you have 50, or especially 50 plus, that's a different league and different technology set. So again, I don't want to go too deep into what Brokerman does and how we satisfy those needs and help to scale, but at the same time, these are typical milestones in the process, and how, again, things typically start with just, again, giving it a try. And ultimately you arrive to that point where, oh, I have enough problems, so I need to solve them.
Yeah, you know, I just, this may seem like a silly question because people are like, oh no, it's all the question is this, but here's the practice I see. Just at AR in San Diego not too long ago, a couple months back. People go and they got their notebook and they got their pen and they're walking down the aisle and they see something shiny and they go to the shiny thing. Ooh, you should go to this, get this new technology, and they go to that first instead of what we started with today: goals and vision, and then you gotta get to the next step. So Erin, you had an interesting perspective that you shared with me on that.
Well, I'll just say it is easy for even the brokers to chase the shiny object, because also shiny objects attract the agents. So from a recruitment standpoint, it's appealing to try to compete with everything that we're hearing in the market out there. But having the processes, I will tell you, our adoption rate for our CRM for the first several months was probably the worst that our CRM had seen, because I was chasing all the shiny, scared my agents, didn't really evaluate the process, like Andrew's saying, ahead of time to roll it out in a way that it was palatable for them. So I 100% agree, process is really important. I would say from a brokerage standpoint, however, once we had fairly good processes in place, we probably should have dove into the technology even a little bit sooner, because when we're talking about these three categories, we're talking about overall business, our agents, our consumers, those systems, even if we don't get a new customer out of our CRM this week, when our agents' business slows down a little bit, I'll give an example. One of my team members is number 7 realtor out of 16,000 in San Antonio. And he comes into my office and says, Erin, I'm unemployed. I don't have anything in escrow. He got too busy doing the business. He wasn't working on the business. But he said, I just saw my newsletter come to myself. I see that this is happening in the back end. I feel good things coming. So even when it hasn't had the instant result from the consumer, it's still retaining our people, keeping our agents fueled, that they know that our business is working in the background for them to support them and make them be successful. So one lesson I learned is we should have invested in the tech a little bit sooner, because it pays for itself in the long run.
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting right there what you said. They saw the evidence of some type of movement or some type of results. And I'll never forget, I don't know if you guys know Darren Hardy. He's a great coach and trainer and speaker. Darren talks about employees, and I would say agents, even though they're not employees, fall into the same realm. People need 3 things from the work that they do. They need to know where they're going, so they need a vision, and they need some hope that it's actually achievable. And then the third one is they need evidence of progress. So that's the piece that if you can put that more in front of them. Dennis, you mentioned earlier, sharing through coaching and through process, that where they are in the process. So Dennis, what do you have to say about this?
So I think it'd probably be 3 for 3. I think you got to start at the process side, but like to go back to what you said, Brian, you gotta set your goals, right, or your rocks, and then define your need case around that. So, and then how best can that technology that you're looking at, whether you are at an NAR convention or you're getting a demo from somebody, how does that fit that, and does it really fit that? And then from there, like I look at it as too, like you gotta switch on that innovation mindset. So like whatever we're doing, like come from that innovation mindset, and then that will start to transform sort of your team, your leaders, your sales associates. And then I think just as a best practice, really start beta testing that with some people that are going to be early adopters and visible in your offices or in your brokerages. Let them start to have wins with that, and make it where other agents are knocking down your door that they want it as well. And then everybody will start to use it, and I think your capture rate will do that. Now, do we always do that all the time? Not all the time, because sometimes we get excited and want to get it out there. But I think that's probably the best way when you're looking to create that growth.
That's awesome. So we got only a couple minutes left here, and we're going to wrap up. I'm just going to jump forward. Since you just brought it up, adoption, we've been talking about it. You have brokers. There's a funny video I should have brought. I don't know if you guys remember from some years back. I think it was a Super Bowl commercial. It's called Herding Cats. Go look that up on YouTube. I feel like that's the process of what you were describing, Erin, with trying to get them into the shiny room. Let's talk about quickly how you bring the agents along. This is a lot. It's not that they're not intelligent enough. It's not that they're not capable enough. It's that their main job is to find people who want to buy a house or sell a house. So how do you bring the agents along real quickly? Let's go with you, Dennis, first.
Yeah, so Erin mentioned before, like with their process and what they do for onboarding with new sales associates or new people to their company. I think that's paramount. I think that is so important. That builds the foundation. Not only does it get like new agents using best practices, we're investing in these technology pieces, these marketing platforms, because we believe they're going to help the agent's business grow, and then thus us grow as well. So getting our new sales associates to do it, I think, is really important. at the same time, if you truly believe it, right, like, and you know that these work, then I think like with some of our top agents, Brian, you just said it, like, you know, their job is to make connections and help sell houses. You know, some of it we got to help them and handhold and do it with them more than anything. Maybe do it for them, because, you know, we have to be their partners in the business, and we can provide that platform, and they can take advantage of that, like, you know, as a stakeholder. But I think sometimes like it's on us and our obligation to help them do that, right? Like before, when I was younger, growing up in the business, like, you know, what was it? It was newspaper advertising. Well,
Yep.
for the most part, at least with our company, we were creating those newspaper advertisements. We were working with the newspapers, making sure that they got published, making sure it got out to the homeowners. So I still think, even if it's, you know, even if it's digitized, we need to help. We need to be helping our top agents in how we're, you know, how we're helping them not just onboard to these new products, but maybe doing a little bit for them as well.
It's so spot on, right? Years ago, I got interviewed by a publication, and they said, "Hey, we got a half an hour set aside. We want to find out what do you suggest for better user adoption with software and technology?" And I said, "Oh, you don't need a half an hour. You can need just a minute." And so they said, "What?" And I said, "Do it for them. Thank you, and have a good."
Yeah.
Right, and the interview ended. Aaron, you quickly, you were talking about like process system scale. Onboarding is a big piece of what you're doing, and perfecting that and scaling that, and that's how you're bringing agents along. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I will, and I'll just say, kind of poning off of what Dennis said, culturally, our tech is a part of every single conversation, not just a, hey, scary tech, but we had to reevaluate all of our training for our agents and make sure that that message was consistent. When we talk about best practices with our team, we're making sure we're addressing that. Every week in our sales meetings, we are sharing success stories from our agent partners utilizing these tools. So, you know, we're recruiting back to our current agents, which also just helps us recruit in the industry. Of course, we can brag about the tech in those systems and then try to create a seamless process for agents coming in the door so they stay with us in the long run. But it is a part of, we have to practice what we preach. So it's a part of every day. We have awards that are centered around it and do recognition around those who are best utilizing their tools, because we know it'll help them build business.
That's great. That's great. Andrew, any last words here on this topic?
Sure. So I think that, you know, on the boarding of agents, that's definitely, you know, it's a webinar topic, I guess. You know, we can talk about, you know,
I think
that
so.
for
Really
hours.
is.
We have only 1 minute here, though. But in terms of the on the boarding, we see, by talking to a lot of brokerages, we see that many of them didn't think of hiring an agent as, I have my interview process. I talk to an agent. I say, yes, we want you to join our brokerage. We get on the same page. Yay, move on, back to my pipeline, back to hiring more agents, right? And what happens after you know, had that handshake and, you know, had, you know, in terms of the paperwork, in terms of all the compliance things, that's also important to automate, just to make sure that, you know, they have the nice experience and their time to getting that first deal is shortened as much as you can, because again, automating these things is also important. Having your step-by-step, either that a checklist or a system that you use to onboard your agents, that's really crucial. We've heard a lot of stories about, yeah, we had the initial interview and then I gave my agent to my admin Lucy, and, you know, nothing really happened for 2 weeks. And after that, the agent ended up going to a different company. These are all the nightmares that you can experience, again, respect of time, but again, automating it is really, really important, and that's again what we also do at BrokerMint.
Cool. I know we started 1 minute after, so we have an extra second to go quickly around. We'll just go Dennis, Aaron, Andrew. We'll go backwards actually. Andrew, Aaron, Dennis. Just one word or one sentence on what's the key thing you think a broker should look at when we're talking on this topic of technology and scaling and expansion. Just one quick tip that you think is the golden nugget they need. Andrew?
In terms of technology, do your due diligence. That's really, really important. I will piggyback on what Dennis said previously, open architecture. So the most important about technology, make sure your technology can talk to other tools and that the company has full support for you to be able to integrate. That's
Perfect.
the core about technology.
Perfect. Aaron.
Ease of use. Just like a good marriage, your agents wake up every morning and they're choosing you over and over again. Make it easy for them to do it.
Love it. Dennis, finish us out.
I would say like the big one, easy one, why? Why does this help you achieve your goals? Why does this help you, achieve your, 1 to 3 year plan? What is the utility of the platform that you're looking at going to actually give you an ROI? Not just sustain you, but actually have you make a return on your investment. So that would be more than anything. I mean, how does it help you get to that ROI?
That's fantastic. Look, we went a little past, but I want to thank you to this panel. You guys got a lot, the attendees, you got a tremendous amount of information, ideas, strategy, and knowledge, experience. So thank you to Dennis, Aaron, Andrew. Really appreciate your input in this dialogue. I'd like to thank all the attendees for coming. We want to thank RIS for putting on these events, and want to thank BrokerMint for sponsoring. So this will come out. We'll send a video of the webinar, a link out to you later. And thank you so much on behalf of RISMedia for attending this session. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for leading us, sir.
Yep, thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.